الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أو تقولوا لو أن أنزل علينا الكتاب لكنا أهدى منهم فقد جاءكم بينة من ربكم وهدى ورحمة فمن أظلم ممن كذب بآيات الله وصدف عنها سنجزي الذين يصدفون عن آياتنا سوء العذاب بما كانوا يصدفون صدق الله مولانا العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that tomorrow you may come out with this excuse that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have revealed a kitab unto us, then we would have had most righteous path. We would have been onto the hidayat. We would have been more good than the people of book who were given books before us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, before you come out with an excuse, here, Quraan Majid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought open proof, and it is from the side of your Rabb, and it has guidance and it has mercy. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, who will be bigger zalim, who denies and who rejects the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and who turns his face away from the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that we will take those people to task who had turned away from our ayat. We will punish them with very bad adab because of their turning away or because of their disobedience, because of they are becoming blockage to the path of haqq. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we will give them very bad adab. Previous ayat also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is responding mushrikeen, because they said that people, two groups, they were given book. Jews, they were given Tawrat, and Christians, they were given Injil. Al-Yahud were given Tawrat, and An-Nasara were given Injil. So Mushrikeen, they used to say that, like them, if we have kitab like Tawrat, kitab like Injil, then we will make the most of it. But we are not being given kitab, so we are unaware from the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why only Jews? Why only Christians? Why not we? Follow this cycle. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I was pondering about these ayat, and before we talk about them, let us make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Always, person will come out with some excuse to not follow haqq. These people, they were coming out with excuses to not follow truth, to not follow Quran, to not follow Islam, to not follow Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But this is within the human's nature. Oh Allah, till we die, protect us from those excuses which will deprive us from your nearness. Knowingly or unknowingly, sometimes, that excuse will be very beautiful, very tempting, very convincing sometimes. Sometimes that excuse will be very convincing. But that excuse is there because you want to become deprived from the nearness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I was making dua before we started Dars that, oh Allah, we are going to talk about mushrikeen, but oh Allah, till we die, as time is becoming challenging, people are distancing from haqq. Sometime knowingly, sometime unknowingly. Sometime intentionally, sometime unintentionally. They are distancing from haqq because of so many so-called fears. They are distancing from haqq. So we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, oh Allah, to you we put this Quran as wasta and wasila. Your sifat, oh Allah, accept it as wasta and wasila. Your Nabi Sallallahu accept it as wasta and wasila. Your fadl, accept it as wasta and wasila. But oh Allah, we are fools. We are immature. Sometimes we will have lack of commitments. But oh Allah, protect us from those excuses which will deprive us from the risk of your muhabbat, from the risk of understanding Quran, from the risk of obedience, from the risk of your remembrance. Oh Allah, protect us. So before we go into the second ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into the second ayat said that, mushrikeen, they used to say that if we are given kitab, then we will prove that we are more righteous than al-Yahud after they had followed Torah. We will be more righteous than al-Nasara after they had followed al-Injil. So they followed book, but if we are given book, we will be better than them. We will beat them. We will be more righteous. We will be onto the haqq, onto the right path more than them. That is what they used to say. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought Quran. That okay, you are demanding, here is the Quran. This Quran came with clear argument, with crystal clear proof, and it has brought guidance till the day of Qiyamah, and it is the source of mercy. Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given 3 introduction in this ayat. That you are demanding, your demand is being fulfilled. And we are giving you kitab far superior than Torah, far superior than Injil, far superior than any book which was given to any nation before. This kitab has superiority, fazilat, and not only superiority and fazilat, it is guidance. It is only and only guidance. It is pure guidance. It is pure guidance, and it is pure mercy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first gave introduction, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, look, you are demanding. If you are not going to follow, then no will be greater zalim onto the face of the earth than you. Because now haqq has come to you. If you turn your back away from the Quran, then we will take you to task. You demanded, your demand is being fulfilled. Now if you turn your face away from Quran, then you will be tasting very bitter azab. You will be tasting very bitter azab, because you are turning away from our ayat. Quran is the ayat. Quran has so many ayat. And Quran explains how we should be guided to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Quran, every letter of Quran brings, abundance of mercy. So if you are not following Quran, then you are depriving yourself from the mercy. You are depriving yourself from the guidance. You are depriving yourself from the proofs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you do that, then you will become entitled to azab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it will be very bad azab. And it is because of your own shortcomings. Because you turn away from the Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this ayat also that it becomes one of the plea that, oh Allah, knowingly or unknowingly, I should not come out with any excuse when some requirement comes from you, and I come out with excuse, and that excuse will deprive me from coming to you. Oh Allah, protect me from all intentional, unintentional, small and big excuses which will become blockage between myself and you. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us correct understanding of Quran and Sunnah. So that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that your demand is being met. Now if you turn your face away, then be ready for the very bad adab. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then again Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in further coming ayats explains about the nizam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us rizq of Quran and rizq of Sunnah. Especially, as we are, there will be some people, wallahi, they will be enjoying, because as things are becoming more difficult, then price of those who are running towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their prices are increasing billion times within seconds. And as it is, everybody's life is going to end, and this world is going to end. But some people, in these difficult times, they will be making the most. They will be making the most. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from them. May Allah make our progeny from them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open all the doors of understanding of Quran, ma'rifat of Quran, obedience of Quran, obedience of Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us such that we never lose hope. And these days we should make one special dua, that, oh Allah, give me imani fear and protect me from all non-imani fears. Oh Allah, give me imani hopes, and oh Allah, protect me from all non-imani hopes. If we become, successful in this dua, then we have everything. We have everything. We will have everything. And we, especially we who live in this western part of the world, we should make dua all the time that, oh Allah, you are going to select some people from the western world to be with the troops of Mahdi radiallahu ta'ala. And they will ultimately join Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, and they will become turning point. They will become turning point, that downfall of Muslims will end and rise of Muslims will begin. Remember this. Remember this. So, me and you, or our forefathers, or whoever came from our families, they came for the sake of some material gains. But Allah is the best of planner. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of planner. Some of the ulama, they have an opinion that in European world looks like no Nabi has come. No Nabi has come. So we should turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that, oh Allah, this is the opinion of some of the very safe and sound ulama, that we always talk that they have divided the world into two parts. First world countries and third world countries. So this country, according to their division, it is falling into the first world country. But when it comes to revelation, when it comes to Quran, when it comes to ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it comes to ishq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it comes to obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then these countries, they will fall into the third world countries. Because souls are hungry, souls are naked, souls are thirsty, souls has no familiarity with its original nourishment. Nourishment of a soul for everybody is same. Nourishment, it is spirituality. It is the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is revelation. It is obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look, we sometimes they say, how many? 50 million people living in England? Nearly 50 to 60 million. 60 million souls are living in this country. What do you think? 99% or 97% of them, their souls will be totally hungry, starving. They are into the third world when it comes to spirituality. And we were supposed to be ambassador of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. towards these 60 million souls. We have not done our duty. So don't blame them. Blame ourselves. Blame ourselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts us that we take every ayat of the Quran and every riwayat of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to every soul. And we take it successfully that look, this is what you need to clothe your soul with. You need to feed your soul with. This is the nourishment of this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. For that, we need to have some sort of what you call training camp, training session, training time. For that, we have, every Wednesday, little majlis of zikrullah. Inshallah, it won't be long. We will have little majlis of zikrullah, and with Durood Sharif, inshallah, will end.